So, coming to the last song, which is called RATATAY, which has a. It's another song which is basically a story. It's a narrative, and if we ever played this song live, it was really difficult to introduce because you end up telling the story, and then which makes the song pointless because you've told the story already. But so we're not going to play it, but I'll tell you the story, which is that this great old surrealist and anarchist called George Melly, who was a jazz singer and a writer and a general sort of party goer. He was playing a concert in Manchester at a club called Band on the Wall, which is a great old sort of jazz and punk club. And he was coming out of there in the 1970s, late on, about 2 o'clock in the morning, and he got accosted by some lads in a dark corner in Manchester who got a knife and held it up and said, right, empty your pockets, let's have a look. So what George Melly did, being a great lover of art and art history, he thought back. This is in an instant. He thought back to the Dadaists. I don't know if anybody if you know about Dada and what the Dadaists did, but they were a group of artists who, at the outset of the First World War, which was a stupid war full of ridiculous slaughter, they relocated to Switzerland, which was a neutral country, and they set up as an art group, which was a lot of great artists gathered to make art which tried to talk about the senselessness of this war, in which millions of people were being slaughtered. And they did this by attacking every convention that they could think of to try and say, look, the world has gone mad, so we're going to prove that we're going to show you what the world is like. And they set up this club called Cabaret Voltaire in Zurich, and they held these performances where there would be sort of 100, 200 people came, and they would wear ridiculous costumes, and they had theatre and music, and it was all nonsensical and weird and bizarre and loud, and the whole point was to get the audience involved and to get the audience either loving it or hating it, but getting involved. And it was an amazing moment in art history, because it was them saying, let's talk about the world. And one of the things that the Dadaists did is they invented this thing called sound poetry, which was the idea of poetry which wasn't made up of words, but it was trying to talk about this mess of language that they wanted to sound like the mess of the First World War. So they wrote these poems and declared them, and they actually declared them in public, and they turned up at public events shouting these poems, and they did it at the Cabaret Voltaire. And so George Melly, he's in a back street in Manchester, and these 2 or 3 kids have got the knives out, and he just instantly thought, this great artist, Kurt Schwitter's Dadaist artist, he'd learned one of the poems, and he could recite a minute of this sound poem. That's what I'll do. And he just started reciting this poem, sort of shouting it in the faces of these lads. And it's an amazing poem when you hear the whole thing. Phil's going to demonstrate a little bit of it. He's going to demonstrate this now. You can demonstrate as little or much as you like. So this is the actual, and this poem's called Sonata.
I might have a go, a bit of a recreation of
the actual
of what he did. This is just the first little bit of this. Okay. Fumes babatat sayou, bogif kwiye. Bevata, Drlbebu, Drlbebu, Fumsbe, Rbebu, Fumsbeva, Bebu, Fumsbevata, Bufumsbevata, Fumsbevata, Seu, Fumsbevata, Seu, Pugif Quille.
You need applause for that.
So as you can imagine, maybe you can't imagine, but these lads with the knives, they ran away. George Melly always referred to it as the poem that saved his life. And basically they thought, you know, he looks weird and he's weird, but now he's gone further than we ever thought to happen. Is this a spell? Is it what's he trying to do? And yeah, they ran away. So we thought this is a great story. We have to write a song about it. So we wrote a song which incorporates a little bit of that. It's not written here, but it does incorporate a little bit of that sound poetry. One of the things about the sound poetry as well, from a design point of view, from the point of view all going away and designing posters, etc., is that the Dadaists they created posters which sort of reflected this sound poetry, and instead of having everything written in nice neat lines, they used different shapes, different types of typeface and fonts, and they mixed them all up and turned them upside down and had certain words going off the edge of the page, and some words were illegible and some were obvious words, and they just mixed them all up and printed them on these posters, which are beautiful posters. They're great to look at and they really draw you in because they look good and because they're weird enough to make you think what's going on there. That was one of their things. So that's the 6 sets of lyrics, basically. I don't know how many you're supposed to be taking.
It'll just be two.
Two.
Yeah.
How do they decide which two?
Don't know, it'd be out the hat, I think. Yeah.
Out of the hat?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.